Hello, Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka, done. I'd like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international. They have 40,000 therapists working for them. I've gotten great feedback from people using them. So thank you, BetterHelp.com/Chris Godinez. Gosh, I just realized that my things are crooked. Drives me crazy and I can't make a mistake. Anyway, okay. Today topic, yes. What is the long-term effect of street drugs on people? So every drug, especially street drugs, has a side effect. Every drug has a side effect of some sort. So the street drugs that I was asked about was specifically meth. Let me see if I can find the question. Could you do a video on the after effects of hard street drugs on people even after they quit? I've noticed with meth addicts, they seem more aggressive even after getting sober. My doctor says she noticed almost bipolar-like side effects with long-term users as meth as well. Okay, so methamphetamine is horrible on the body. All of the street drugs are horrible on the body. Basically, you don't know what they've been putting into it. They'll put all sorts of crap in that. So with methamphetamine, what it does is it goes in and it releases all of the feel-good chemicals. So dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, all of it, all at once. And it's supposedly an incredible high. But what ends up happening is the person then goes, oh, that was great, let's do it again. What they don't realize is the body needs time to regenerate all of those feel-good chemicals that were literally wrung out of the brain like a wet rag, okay? So it takes like 3 months to build back up all of the feel-good chemicals and everything. So what the user does is they go chasing the dragon, is what it's called. And so they just keep taking it and then keep trying to squeeze whatever little bit of, feel-good chemicals are in there out. It's nasty, and it does organic brain damage. Now, it doesn't eat holes in the brain, but essentially it eats holes in the brain. Not literally eats holes in the brain, but what it does is it organically damages the senders and the receivers of the dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it does cause organic brain damage if you do it enough. I wouldn't even recommend doing it ever, Life is weird enough without illegal drugs, I'll tell you that much. I don't need drugs. This is weird enough. Anyway, so the point being is that methamphetamine does organic brain damage. A lot of street drugs do organic brain damage if you do them enough. So LSD, if you do that enough, it's going to cause problems. If you do any of the street drugs enough, overdosing, etc., or using them daily or whatever, it's going to cause brain damage. It is. Things that cross the blood-brain barrier are a problem, and most of the illegal drugs do that. So if you look at PET scans of meth addicts, there are areas of the brain that are dark, not because there's holes, but because they're not firing. They're damaged. They're not firing. So when we start messing with our brain, okay, our personality will change. And addicts have criminal thinking. Obviously, where's my book? I don't even know where my book is, but Inside the Criminal Mind by Sam Neill. Addicts have criminal thinking, they do. And their thinking is skewed to begin with. It's worse when they use, when they get clean and sober. In working with addicts, when I used to work at the homeless shelter, which I loved that job. It was so rewarding. It really was. I really enjoyed it. When you work with the addicts, you have to change their thinking, which is what Sam now says. I'm just like, yep. So you have to change the way they think because they're constantly victimizing themselves. I'm a victim. Oh, it's society. Oh, it's my family. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. No, you made the choice. So you have to constantly be on them to take responsibility, essentially. So what I saw when I was at the homeless shelter is personality changes total personality changes. Like, long-term users would eventually just be crispy critters. I mean, they just could not even function. I mean, just not good. Anger outbursts, inability to control anger, just, yeah. So if you look at the DSM-5, which, as I throw things off my desk, sorry, baby, she's under my desk going, what are you doing? If you look at the DSM-5, they list under all of the illicit drug use, personality changes, organic brain damage, So it's like all of the drugs. Alcohol. If you drink enough alcohol, you're going to get neuropathy because it kills the cells, it kills the nerves. You're going to get diabetes, you're going to get... So basically, it's the same idea as diabetes in a way. Think about it this way. So diabetes happens when the pancreas is unable to produce enough insulin, right? That's one form of diabetes. Okay, the brain kind of does the same thing. It's now unable to send and receive the proper amount of feel-good chemicals and then absorbing it, and then feel-good chemicals and then absorbing it. What methamphetamine does is it floods the brain with the feel-good that's bathing in it, okay? And then, then the receivers are trying to pump it back out. And so they're pump, and they get worn out. You can't do that. It wasn't designed for that. Feel-good feelings were there to tell us what was safe, kind of thing, or what was a good thing to do, kind of thing. Really, when you think about it evolutionarily. So, but when we artificially pump all these feel-good chemicals into it, and unfortunately, I go back to the studies with the rats that would be given cocaine in one feeder and food and water in another, and they would ignore the food and water and just go straight for the cocaine and eventually die because, cocaine, it's a thing. So the other thing that happens with illegal drug use, not just with methamphetamine, but specifically with methamphetamine, heart issues, heart palpitations, irregular heartbeat, and sometimes those are permanent. And that happens with cocaine too. And people don't think about that. Drug addicts don't think about it. Drug addicts definitely do not research what's gonna happen. They're looking for that hit, that dopamine hit, that feel-good feeling, that euphoria, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, there's a lot of physiological and psychological changes that happen. So with alcohol, I have yet to see an alcoholic go, stay a happy drunk. They just don't. Because their brains are getting damaged constantly. Their brain cells, they're losing brain cells when they drink that much. And eventually, they're just angry. They're just angry. I've never seen one stay happy. They all go to the anger. So yeah, there is organic brain damage going on when you use illegal, illicit drugs. And the saddest story I can tell you is when I was doing my internship, and this is before I worked at the homeless shelter. I was working at Catholic Charities, and this little girl came in, and I had to ask her 3 or 4 times how old she was. She looked like she was 60 or 70 years old. Her skin was that tissue paper. She had sores all over herself. And I was just like, how old are you? And she was 21. And she looked like she was 70. And apparently she was arrested for cooking meth, which makes sense. She had a hole in her chin. I don't know whether she just picked it or whether that had something to do with the methamphetamine making it, whatever. Anyway, she was a mess, and she was barely functioning, and she was so young. And she looked, like I said, like she was 70 years old. And she, like I said, the crepe skin, the sores all over her, and I just was like, oh, this poor thing. So yeah, it does very, very bad things to you, methamphetamine. I mean, all of the illicit drugs do. You don't know what they're putting in it. It's not like they're actual chemists, with a degree going, this is how we make it, and this is relatively safe. No, they don't care. You don't know what they've put in it. You don't know how they've stepped on it. It's just, and they'll cut it to make more money, and they don't care what they cut it with. They don't care. It's the craziest thing. It's like, drug addicts drug dealers want to supply drugs to everybody, but they will sell drugs that will kill their population. I don't, doesn't make sense. You don't want to kill your customers, but they do. Same with fentanyl, all of the problems with fentanyl. And years ago, I don't know if this is still a problem. It probably is. Opiate use, heroin use. There was black tar heroin that was coming in from, where was it? Somewhere in Asia. And it was killing people. And it just, So basically, all of the drugs have got bad side effects. They will change your personality. They absolutely will. A lot of them, bipolar, yeah, because you've destroyed parts of your brain and your brain is unable to regulate. So, but I've also seen addicts use that as their excuse. And it's like, no, you get help. You get on actual medicine that's going to help you. That's the other thing I've heard addicts say. Well, I don't want to take pharmaceuticals. Oh, but you'll go buy it from Joe Blow down the street with God knows what's else in it. What? And oftentimes what I saw with especially people suffering from bipolar is that they would be rabid alcoholics and also using amphetamine, so up or downer. So they're trying to regulate the bipolar. So yeah, that's what street drugs can do for you. That does cause organic brain damage if you do it enough, or if you do the wrong thing, or if there's something really scary in it. Oh, liver damage. Let's talk about that. Our liver is our oil filter, if you will, of our body. So think of it like a car, right? So what we eat is our gas, right? Gets us going. And then our liver is like our oil filter. It filters out all of the stuff that shouldn't be in there. And eventually that poor liver just kind of goes, screw you, and is done. Okay. David Crosby, I think, is a really good example of that, So, and then you'll need a liver transplant. And that's a horrible process. People who've had to get transplants are then on drugs to keep the body from rejecting the liver, and the lifespan is not very long and it's not very fun. So it's not worth it. It does damage to all of the organs. It really does. It damages the brain, damages the heart, damages the liver, and it doesn't matter what drug you're doing. There's gonna be a side effect, and not a good way. So anyway, I hope that answered the question. I will be answering another question soon. There's a couple of questions that came in on the chat that I think I'm going to do full-length shows on. So anyway, this week we're going to be talking about no contact, low contact, and how to know when to do what. So that's what we're going to talk about. All right, guys, go have a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.